So, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again. This is episode number 20 of Jonnychipz Weekly. It is Friday, the 14th of May. Let's jump straight on in. So yeah, hi everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in again for another episode of Jonnychipz Weekly. Obviously, as you may or may not know, it's been a tough week or so for me at the moment, but I'm bearing up. A huge thanks to everybody for your superb support. I really have been overwhelmed with the amount of messages I've been getting. Obviously, on my bereavement of my family, it truly is appreciated. But as I said last week, my mum would want me to carry on. Soldier on through, as she'd say. So I'm going to do just that. So, like I say, thank you so much for all the kind words and messages that I've been getting. It really is appreciated. So on to this week's show. I'm going to jump over to the desktop and we're going to kick off with a community call out. Okay, so I've got quite a few little announcements of things that have caught my eye over the last week. Clearly I've not been as active as I normally am on Twitter or LinkedIn over the last week or so. But there have been a few things that have caught my eye, and there's a few things coming up, obviously, that would be cool to talk about briefly now in this little section. So Microsoft Build, obviously the event is coming up on the 25th, so we still got a week or so before the event starts, but if you've not registered, get registered. I know the session builder went live yesterday, so you can start to, just get onto the Build website, get yourself registered, and you can start to plan your sessions. I mean, it's great to see some familiar faces in there. I'm really excited to see if I can join as many of these sessions as possible. I think it's a 3-day event in the UK. I guess it spans over the day threshold. So so if you want to jump onto that and have a little look, you can see that we've got all the timings already. So this is BST. So it kicks off around 4 p.m. on the 25th of May with an introduction. And the keynote with Satya Nadella is around 4:30 on the 25th of May, British Summer Time. So yeah, jump on in. I think they've got some great things going on, like digital swag. I know they've got a Cloud Skills Challenge coming up. So you can get yourself pre-registered to get notified when that Cloud Skills Challenge does go up. So they normally have some great little prizes and things like that, and free exam vouchers. So it's really worth getting involved. So yeah, jump on over to the Build website and get yourself registered if you haven't already. That'll be a great event. The Cloud Lunch and Learn Marathon team. So I believe that is still going on at the moment. So 13th and 14th of May. If this hasn't caught your eye, you might want to go and have a look at this. What the guys and gals have done over at the Cloud Lunch and Learn team is they've had a 24-hour marathon of community content, which has been fantastic. I've managed to catch a few of the sessions myself. They've been streaming live on Twitch and I believe YouTube, and obviously they've got recorded sessions going up on their YouTube channel. So jump on over to cloudlunchlearn.com and you can take a look at the sessions. It's been really successful. They've had pretty much 1,349 registrations, which is really brilliant. I mean, well done to all the team involved there. It's been it's so professionally organized and arranged as well. It's great to see. So there we can see that there's all the sessions there, and I believe, I'm not sure about the recorded sessions on Twitch, but I know that they've put up they've split it into a few parts. So if you go over to the Twitch TV Cloud Lunch Learn channel, you'll see that there is part 1, part 2, part 3. So you can rewatch the videos. They are obviously a few hours long, but I'm sure if you get your timings right, you can find the session that you're interested in. So jump on over to that. I was fortunate enough to have a session accepted. So that went out yesterday. It's on Adopting the Cloud with Kath for Azure. So if you fancy it, go and watch that. That's over on YouTube as well. But yeah, just an all-round congratulations to the team at Cloud Lunch and Learn. So putting on a fantastic set of sessions, a 24-hour marathon. So go and take a look at that and like and subscribe and go and give some feedback, because it's obviously greatly appreciated to all involved. Isadora. So yeah, I mean, this caught my eye the other night. It was a brilliant idea, to be honest. Obviously, with us all being in lockdown the past year, we've all had time to invest in our home offices. We've bought maybe bought a bit of new equipment and set it up and got our workplace at home. to a point where, like I said in previous videos, for me it was just a way of keeping me occupied and not climbing the walls, being locked in for the last year or so. So Izzy has come up with this idea where she's enrolled a few judges across the community. So I think Gregor and Richard are involved, and Holly Lehman, and obviously Izzy, to act as judges to see if we can just get, this is a bit of fun really, and as Izzy says there, to kind of help and inspire other people that may be thinking of some ideas to do something with their home setup. So a call has gone out across the community. If you've done any improvements to your home office, or you're proud the way that you've got your home office set up, then they've got two categories. So I think they've got, the first one is what I'm looking at now. So what you see as your home setup. If you take a picture of that, click onto this link now. If you go and follow Izzy on Twitter, you can find this link quite quickly, but it's on Izzy's website. So isadorakatanic.com. And if you submit a picture, so there's a picture for the front facing, what you see, and there's also a category for your behind. So what's behind you there. So I've got my little bookshelf and a few lamps. So yeah, I just thought it was a fantastic idea. Really, really great to kind of get a little bit of interaction from the community, get a little bit of inspiration, and ideas, I guess, for others to kind of work out maybe how they might want to set up their home offices. So yeah, great to be involved in it. And I believe, yeah, there we go. So deadline August the 1st. So there's a few months yet before they sift through. But I'm guessing, I did notice, I think Izzy said she was going to try and do a collation of all the images that she gets through, just to kind of put them up in a central area. So yeah, it's great to see. It's a nice bit of fun as well, just to kind of a little bit of banter back and forth about it, because it's been great to be involved in that. So I've submitted my pictures, and I've seen some fantastic home setups over the last year myself. So that's going to be, I think I said to Izzy, I wouldn't want to be a judge on that one. That's going to be a tough one, but yeah, get involved if you can. It's really great to see that one. Moving on, Gregor Suti, this caught my eye only because I was absolutely thinking of studying for the AI exam. So fantastic to see Gregor's taken the time and effort to blog his experiences with the AI 102 exam. I've had a brief look at some of these resources and they look absolutely fantastic. So thanks to Gregor for putting that together and getting it out there. So I will absolutely be following Gregor's sort of study guide. Yeah, I think he's picked out some of the docs websites for the specific sort of skills measured, which is great because these things do take time to find and make sure they're covering the right area and pull together. So huge thanks to Gregor for putting the time and effort in to pull all this together. I shall definitely be using this. And as usual, these exams, you can see they've got quite a lot of skills measured, so they're not for the faint-hearted, I guess. But I find that they're good fun, especially these sort of AI and IoT, those kind of exams. For whatever reason, I just find them really interesting and fun to study for. So if you are like me, are thinking about doing that, then head on over to Gregor's website and take a look at his study guide, because he's got some great content in there. Moving on, so James Cook has set up another community event, platform, I guess. He's called it the AZ Community Roundtable. So he's just put up a tweet this week around some dates that he's looking to get the first couple of shows. So into June, so 1st of June, he's got a call for speakers, or if you want to register as a guest speaker, I believe, I can't remember, James, if this was on Twitter Spaces or if you were using Clubhouse. Let me just double check on that. The Community Roundhouse, yeah, there we go, live on Twitter Spaces. So jump on over, give AZ Roundtable a follow on Twitter. Get involved. Like I say, James has been really active lately with his blog across the community, and it's great to see that he's got this great idea now of using some of the new technologies with Twitter. We've got this concept of Twitter Spaces now, which I believe is very similar to Clubhouse in a way. If you've not seen Clubhouse, it's we've got all these new platforms springing up around us now. So it's great to try and give them a go and see how they work for things like our community, how we can kind of discuss tech and things that are going on in and around us. So thanks to James for setting that up. I will definitely be trying to join some of these sessions, and if I've got something to say, I'll put my hand up and join in. So there we go. Go and give them a follow. My good friend Mert, he's clashing again, the 20th of May. That's the date of the next Welsh Azure session, but I'm going to give him a call out anyway, because Mert's sessions are always great fun and good to watch over on the Azure Live Twitch channel. His next session is on the 20th of May. He's got Shabazz, Imran and Saeed coming on to talk around behind the scenes of the Bradford Cloud user group, which obviously the guys run. So yeah, I mean, give that a watch, because I'm obviously I'm not going to be able to watch it live again, Mert. Apologies, but I mean, it's great to see. Obviously I've got my own opinions and things that I need to get on with the Welsh Azure. So I mean, it's a great little concept, just a little bit behind the scenes, see what is actually involved with getting these events set up and organised. Yeah. So anyway, there we go, Mert. Shout out to Mert. Go and give that a watch. Of course, if you're not already watching the Welsh Azure user group at that time. Okay, next call out. Yeah, Jamie Maguire has he put out a tweet, or a couple of tweets a few weeks back, where on Twitter he was just asking people to list your blog or your YouTube channel or your podcast. And it's really clever what Jamie's done now. He's basically created a static content website based on that Twitter feed. So he's taken all the information out there, and he's turned it into a website. So I mean, if I quickly click on that. You can see that what Jamie's done is he's created this website where you can click on blogs, and we've got an alphabetically organized list of everybody's blog site that replied to that Twitter thread. And I believe Jamie has still got that open, so I think you can reply to it. It'll deploy this website. So of course my website is on there. If I can scroll down somewhere, I can spell my own name. There we go. So there's me. So yeah, that was my little reply. You can see got a list to my blog website, and the same for podcasts. I don't have a podcast, so I'm not in there. I mean, great to see some familiar names with Chris Reddington in there, and I know Alex as well. And yeah, I mean, it's great to see that all the community getting involved there with submitting their content, and of course YouTube. So it's a really clever idea actually. So I've seen a few of these. I've done one myself where you just ask people for their YouTube channel, and before you know it, it fills up quite quickly because everybody just puts their links in, and of course that gets lost in the ether of Twitter and the Twitter feed. So a really clever idea that Jamie had there to kind of extract that information, because I know Jamie does a lot with the Twitter APIs, and he's turned it into this website. So it's techresources.azurewebsites.net if you're interested. Or head on over to Jamie at Jamie_Maguire1 on Twitter. Give him a follow and you'll find this thread there. A big shout out to Martin Copeland. So Martin, I noticed he's started his 100 days of DevOps, which is pretty cool. I know Martin has got, he's massively intelligent and experienced in the whole DevOps process. So, I mean, it's great to see that Martin's decided to do something on these lines. So I'm going to be supporting him on his little journey through these 100 days. It's always I found it was always a daunting effort, a daunting thought to think, right, I'm going to start on this journey. But hopefully, like me, when you get involved, I hope Martin finds it actually turns into a little bit of fun, and it's a great, it's a great sort of way to constrain your time to doing something useful and meaningful in terms of learning and making that knowledge stick. So, and of course, Martin's putting back out into the community. So follow along. I think Martin is doing this all on his blog website, so blog.m12d.com. If you go and give Martin a follow, support him through it, and go and have a read of his blog posts. And moving on. I can't do one of these community callouts without a shout out to my friends from the Azure Live channel, and again in this instance, Pete and Cliff. Again on Tuesday this week, as I'm coming back from Swindon, I managed to take my EE SIM card out with me and managed to get a full end-to-end stream of IoT Live, which is great. But they had Paul DiCarlo on there, so they were talking about the Jets and Nano devices, and Paul was really given the preamble to his own home setup that he did, which is here. So basically, Paul had done something phenomenal where he was used to kind of teaching things about things like Jets and Nanos and IoT and devices in a face-to-face sort of setting where he'd turn up with a briefcase full of these devices, set them up, let people touch and feel and play with them and get them get them set up for themselves. And of course, when the pandemic hit, Paul had to rethink how he was going to deliver that. And this is the result of it. And Paul's on the show last Tuesday, which you can rewatch on twitch.tv/Azurish Live, where he's kind of given the background as to how all this came to be and how he's actually got his home lab set up, that it's exposed to the internet. So it's exposed to people to be able to use this for their own learnings without having to go and buy a 50, 60 pound device or anything like that. And it was just really interesting to hear, how Paul was saying this kind of started off just to kind of teach students in the university that he's a professor at, and then it branched out to kind of teach, a global sort of group of people within Microsoft themselves, and it kind of proved that the concept worked well. And I joined one of the sessions when Paul then opened it up to a bit more of the community, if you like, just wider reaching people. And I was on one of the first events, and it was a global. There was people from all over the world, and this is all running off Paul's little home lab, which there we go. There's the picture. So it's really interesting, and I know that Paul's going to be working with Pete and Cliff now over the coming days and weeks, talking about the concept of object detection with the Jetson Nano. Like I say, I've been through it. I went through it following Paul's instructions and Paul's Git repos and things like that. And it's such an interesting area, working with the NVIDIA Deep Learning Institute and their course materials. So I believe that's one of the next episodes. I think Paul is starting off with teaching Cliff through the Deep Learning Institute materials. So if you're interested, and that's like you can see there, as this is all going to be about the DeepStream SDK and understanding what that is and how you can use it in applications and develop applications. So if you're interested, join in. So tomorrow night, this was for the Tuesday night session, but I believe they're starting Thursday, maybe next Tuesday. I think they've got another session then, maybe Thursday. But keep your eyes peeled. Go and give the guys a follow, IoT Live, and watch it, 'cause it's just uber interesting and really good fun at the end of the day. So yeah, big shout out to the guys over there at IoT Live. Thank you, Pete and Cliff, and Paul, of course. And finally, on the community call out, Dean, my good friend Dean, my colleague Dean, he's been eagerly beavering away at a series of YouTube videos. Well, both Dean and Andy Jones have, actually. So I just wanted to call this out. If you are, as Dean says, they're interested in setting up a config manager hybrid lab, then Dean has put together a series of videos that kind of guide you through what he's done for his home lab and maybe give you some idea or some thoughts of how you could do yours. So you can see it's everything from the initial setup of the base lab environments through to hybrid autopilot, cloud management gateway, co-management, and play and more. The playlist is up on his YouTube channel there. So go and give Dean a follow and go and give that a watch if that is of interest to you. Okay, so there was our community call out, and that was a bumper one. Crikey, I'm up to 20 minutes already. Wow, where did that go? So, right, without further ado, I'm going to quickly move on to Jonnychipz on the side. If I can actually change my screen over. I'm doing this in a slightly different order, purely because, just to mix it up a little bit. So let's just jump back over to my desktop at the moment. So. And I must remember every time I do that scene transition, my mic cuts out. So I just said we'll transition over to my desktop again. So Jonnychipz on the side, what I've been up to. So last night was the inaugural Fish and Chips Twitch TV live stream. There was no particular agenda to it, to be honest, but it's just got a group of us together, again, across community, just as a bit of an idea about doing kind of a monthly stream just with people from the community. We've not really got much of an agenda set at the moment, but I'm sure we'll come up with some decent ideas. But as you can see by Simon's picture there, he kind of jumped into it feet first. I think Matt came up with the idea of Fish and Chips, just a tea time show, having a bit of lunch, a bit of food. We'll talk maybe a little bit about tech, what's gone on in the world of our, in our worlds over the last month, and things like that. So it was good fun. I think we were on the stream for about an hour and a half, and I'm not sure we actually did anything meaningful or productive, but it was good fun. I think it's the seed of something hopefully good to come. If we think that we can make this into kind of a monthly stream, just to kind of a bit of a catch up, and yeah, I'm sure we'll get a bit of structure to it over time. So just wanted to give the guys, so Matt Bradley, obviously Simon Lee and Dean Ellaby, there were going to be a few others joining us, but obviously got waylaid by other things, which is understandable. So yeah, good fun. Let's see what happens. I think we're going to make this a monthly show, so obviously stay tuned if you're interested in joining in. Just going to try and make it a little bit of a fun, couple of beers, bit of a chat kind of session. Okay, Jonnychipz in conversation with. Huge thanks to Mark. So Mark was on the show last week, went out last Friday. Great, I really enjoyed that conversation around serverless and some of Mark's insights and experiences and obviously views of the kind of projects and customers he's worked with over the years. It was some great information in there about serverless and obviously what Azure has to offer in that sort of arena in terms of developing with serverless compute. So yeah, give that a watch if you haven't already watched that. It's in the YouTube channel below. Look at the playlist. And yeah, any feedback is more than welcome. So comments on the channel, tweet out to me or Mark, absolutely always welcome. And on the same note, a big thanks to Michael Cade. I had a good chat with him yesterday. That will be out in a few weeks' time, so stay tuned with that. And that was a great chat around Veeam and Kasten. So really understanding Veeam Software's product range and what they've got to offer in terms of backup and replication for Azure, in terms of VM and VM images, things like that, as well as file and folder and NAS sort of backup and replication kind of technologies. And we even talked about the 365 elements that Veeam has to offer. So if you're interested, that'll be out in a few weeks' time. Big shout out and thank you to Michael for joining me. It was a great, I really enjoyed that chat as well. But it is Friday and we've got another episode being released tonight. And tonight we have Veronica joining me. So tonight Veronica is coming on and we're talking all things AI. So Azure based AI. It was a really insightful conversation. I'm not going to spoil it too much here and tell you the content, but we discuss AI. We discuss things like responsible AI and what that means. And Veronica gave me some really great insights, hints and tips and some quick demos of how to get things set up in terms of machine learning and AI and things like that. So that's going out tonight on the Azure-ish Live Twitch TV live stream at 6:30. It's GMT. We're actually in BST. I should really change that, shouldn't I? So it's BST. Yeah, give that a watch. I mean, if you can't make it, it'll be up on my YouTube channel, so you can rewatch that back. I generally tend to release the YouTube a little bit later on in the evening. So yeah, looking forward to that session. That's going out tonight if you get a chance to watch it. And finally, I just wanted to give a quick update on my AI powered cat flap. So I mean, I I released this little video. You can see I got my Raspberry Pi with a motion sensor plugged into my breadboard. I got my VS Code open with my Pi. Bit of code there to do something in terms of using a TensorFlow object detection model. So there we go. I'm kicking off my code. It's loading the model. I got a picture of a cat with my camera. I move my hand in front of the motion sensor. It takes a picture, puts it up on the screen, and then the inference model says detected. It's detected a Siamese cat, which I mean, the color of the cat was very Siamese cat-like, but clearly that's not a Siamese cat, but it was close enough for me, so I was quite impressed with that. I've got it all sat down here. There's clearly a little bit more to do with that, but it's good fun. I took it the next step. This was a couple of weeks ago. You can see the end of April, and so I'm not sure that I actually mentioned it. Obviously not on my video last week, but I thought I'd mention I've got a little bit further. So there we go. There's my Jonnychipz on the side. Okay, so we will move swiftly on, and I think we will just briefly jump into our next Welsh Azure user group meetup. So let's jump back over to the desktop. So yeah, another brief one today. Next Welsh Azure user group, like I mentioned earlier, is on the 20th of May, which is next Thursday. It's starting at 6:30 BST. We've got two lightning talks, one from Peter Tatenda around the container alphabet soup, as he calls it. And then Wim Matheson is joining us, and he's going to be talking around Azure Advisor, so our free personal cloud consultant, which is so true. So they're going to both give us some lightning talks, which hopefully will whet the appetite, give us a great bit of insight into things, maybe into areas that you didn't know were around or existed or whatever. But really excited to have those guys. And in fairness, both the guys could probably quite easily give us some longer talks, which I might have to catch up with them at a later date to sort that out. But for now, we've got the 2 lightning talks, and the interesting concept of next week, we've got a virtual data center tool. So if you've never been in a data center or you've never been in an Azure data center, now this is your chance. So we've got Mark O'Neill from Microsoft coming on to guide us through this virtual data center tour experience. So I've never seen one of these virtual data center tours before. I've not been in, I technically I probably have been in an Azure data center because I've been in the what was the NGD down in Newport, but certainly not in the Microsoft area. So that will be pretty cool to see. So I'm excited by that. So yeah, like I say, the next meetup, 20th of May, jump onto Twitter at Welsh Azure, give us a follow, RSVP to our meetup. So we've got a meetup page, RSVP to it, and hopefully we will see you there. Okay, so that was our Welsh Azure user group. Quick overview. And the final section of the show, I'm just going to delve into the Azure news and updates, to be honest. So as usual, well, let me jump over to the desktop. Okay. So as per usual, I'm going to quickly give my sort of 5-minute overview, looking a fresh look at the last week's worth of Azure news and updates. I think we've had around a dozen or so updates. So like I say, I've briefly skimmed these. I've not really read too much at the moment. So this is my live recorded reaction to the announcements over the last week. So let's jump on in. So yeah, like I say, if you can, I always recommend jumping over to this page as often as you can, just to kind of get a bit of a feel for the updates that are coming out of Azure. So, okay, first up, general availability, Azure API management updates. So there's been a bunch of updates, which I'm not going to go through. So if you do use API management in Azure, then there have been a bunch of updates. So go and take a look at that. There's more information that you can find on there. Excuse me. So Azure I can never say this. Azure Purview now supports private endpoints. It's gone into public preview. So if you don't know what private endpoints are, they're a way to restrict publicly facing PaaS elements of Azure really into being accessible only by private IPs. So private endpoints, cool to see now that they brought that out for Azure Purview. That's Purview. I can't say it. It's gone into public preview. That's ridiculous. That's a tongue twister in itself, isn't it? So that supports it. The fact that it's in public preview means that there's no, what Microsoft recommend is that you don't use it in production environments, because obviously it can change at any moment. So if that's of interest to you, if you've started to use Purview and you feel that you don't want it, access via a public endpoint, they put that into public preview. So go and take a look at that. Okay, another public preview, Application Gateway Mutual Authentication. So it now supports the ability to perform front-end mutual authentication in addition to the client authenticating Application Gateway in a request. Application Gateway can now also authenticate the client. Okay. You can upload multiple client certificate authority, certificate change for the Application Gateway to use for the client authentication, or additionally, the App Gateway also allows you to configure listener for specific SSL policies. Pretty cool. Okay, so we can upload our own certificate change that we can use then for authentication by the clients, which is pretty cool. That's in public preview. So if that's of interest to you, go and take a look at that. Yes, Azure Static Web Apps has now gone GA. I did spot this. I think somebody had tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Yeah, on the 12th. So great to see. I mean, I've only started to dabble myself with static web apps, but they were free, I believe, under the public preview. I've not seen what the costs are and exactly whether there are. I'm sure there are costs to it, but they've gone GA now. So if that is somewhere that you're looking at, so static content web apps, obviously I think the community has been obviously screaming from the rooftops about how fantastic this technology is. So great to see it's now gone GA. There we go. Another public preview. So Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server announcing SSL enforcement and minimum TLS version choice. Okay, so it's more around the security things. I'm guessing there just on the first read of that. But if that's applicable to you, go and take a look. So zone redundant storage option for Azure Managed Disks is now in public preview. Fantastic. So again, it's just this ever-evolving platform of features that that is available. So the app wasn't really available beforehand, so it's in preview now for managed disks. You can enable ZRS, so zone redundant storage, that ability to kind of keep copies of your managed disks across multiple racks within a particular zone, well, multiple zones within the data center. So yeah, cool to see. Public preview again. So Azure database for PostgreSQL. SQL, I never know how to say it. Is it Postgres SQL? I don't know. Postgres. So flexible server now supported in new regions. Okay, well, I don't use this bit of technology myself. So just looking at it, yeah, okay. So there's some bits and pieces. So yeah, flexible server, you can enjoy a simplified provisioning experience with low cost of ownership, stop-start, better resiliency. Okay, cool. So that's into public preview. Take a look at that if that's of interest. Another public preview. There's lots of database things going on at the moment within Microsoft, isn't there? So flexible server PowerShell module is in public preview. Okay, cool. Generally available Azure NetApp Files application consistent snapshot tool. I actually saw this when it went out in public preview a few months back now. So yeah, I mean, it's great to see. It's just another feature that has basically had the rubber stamp and it's gone into GA. So yeah, to be able to take that application consistent snapshot is really great to see, using that as your NetApp Files, that NAS storage area, if you like, within, for various applications. And I think, looking at things like SAP HANA and SUSE, in Linux environments even. So to be able to take those application consistent snapshots is a wonderful thing, obviously for any kind of recovery or rollback of that nature. Cool to see. Another GA announcing lower pricing for provision throughput on Azure Ultra disks. Great. So they're giving us a little bit of a discount. So if you do use Azure Ultra disks, and Microsoft are announcing a price reduction on provision throughput by 65% from May the 1st. So that's in place now. Wow, okay, cool. So if you are using those, go and take a look at that. You've got some substantial discounts coming, which is great to see. Next one, capacity calculator with Azure Cosmos DB API for MongoDB now generally available. Okie dokie. Preview again, Azure database for, I'm not saying PostgreSQL, hyperscale, managed BG. I just don't know what any of this is. So without reading it properly, everybody's probably screaming, going, "Oh, John, it's this, it's that." But yeah, I mean, clearly there's lots of terminology that when you read this, you think, "Yeah, okay, what is that?" So no idea what PG Bouncer is. I'm sure it's probably something that I'll go, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's what it is." So anyway, that's in public preview. I probably will read up a little bit more about what that is. Hyperscale Citus Managed PG Bouncer. Ooh, okay. Just need to do a bit more reading. Anyway, that's in public preview. Some more database, so flexible server with manage. Oh, there's my PG Bouncer friend. So clearly something's going on with this PG Bouncer. So PG, I'm assuming, stands for Postgres. Bouncer. Let's try and work it out now. Is it? People will just be laughing at me now trying to work it out. To use the benefit of the built-in PG Bouncer connection pooler, you can use the same hostname in the connection string and change the port from to connect to PG Bouncer. Yeah, I'm still none the wiser at the moment. I maybe need to read a little bit higher. PG Bouncer helps with mitigating idle connections and allows you to configure up to 10,000 connections. Right. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. Yeah, it's worthy of more reading by me. So there we go. So PG Bouncer, that's going to stick in everybody's minds for a while now, isn't it? Next one, so GA, Azure Devops update. So Azure Devops has had some updates for May. What have we got? So Pat Lifecycle Management API Gateway availability, general availability. We've had some issues with delivery plans on Azure boards fixed. We've got some repos as a protected resource in YAML pipelines updates, and artifacts. We've got enable empty recycle bin for feeds. Okay, so there's some cool little updates there on ADO. So take a look at those. They may be applicable to you. generally available. Azure IoT Central, new and updated features. Yeah, so I did take a brief look at this the other day, actually, when I spotted that it had been released. So, yeah, I mean, IoT Central is certainly, so IoT Central is that area where you can kind of develop your own platform-based IoT solutions, I guess, where, it's kind of fed off and built upon things like IoT Hub and any other component that you want to feed into that. So yeah, they basically they do release these updated features on a fairly regular cadence. So these are for the April cadence. So we can manage API tokens, create and manage DTDL v2 device templates. So these device templates, DTDL language, yeah. So syntax of how you declare these device templates, version 2. So create and onboard and manage devices. So list the user roles. So the updates to the API have been, broadened out quite well. So IoT Central is definitely an area that I want to get into using and building solutions on a little bit more than I've done. I've gone through the Learn modules. I've created some sample solutions, and I've done a little bit of tweaking and playing with my Jetson Nano and a Raspberry Pi. But it's such a powerful platform. It's really, of interest, especially to somebody like me that isn't a day-to-day programmer or developer. A lot of that work, like you can see there with APIs, is kind of done for you to a certain extent. But there's still a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong. Okay, moving on. Another GA, enable Azure Site Recovery ASR while creating an Azure virtual machine. Yeah, I actually spotted this the other day because it was very apt to something I was working on. So I thought I did create a little blog article about this, and it's really simple. At the end of the day, if you do provision VMs through the portal, it's just a case of when you're on the management tab, there's a new drop down now or a little checkbox you can select to enable disaster recovery. And when you click on that, it gives you the options to pick your recovery vaults, your secondary region where you want to store that vault, and obviously where the storage account is. And as you create your VM, it will go through the provisioning process, but then it will automatically kick in with the replication and seed that VM and associated disks across to the region of choice that you put in there. Whereas before, it was a kind of, you'd set up your VMs. You'd have to then do something with your ASR configuration, or and apply a policy and things like that. So it's great to see. It's just further enhancements to the actual Azure portal there. Okay, moving on. So another public preview, Azure Storage attribute-based access control, now available for preview. Interesting, very interesting. So attribute-based access control is an authorization strategy that defines access levels based on attributes associated with security principles, resources, requests, and the environment. So Azure ABAC builds on roles-based access control, RBAC, by adding conditions to the role assignments in Azure. So in existing identity and access management IAM system. So this preview includes support for roles-based conditions on blobs in ADLS Gen 2 and enables you to author conditions based on resource and request attributes. Cool. So, we've just got further enhancements to actually how we can access our data and storage effectively. Cool to see. So that's in public preview. And the final announcement is now available, prevent shared key authorization for an Azure storage account. So every secure request to an Azure storage account must be authorized. So by default, requests can be authorized with either Azure Active Directory credentials or by using the account access key for shared key authorization. So those two types of authorization, Azure AD provides superior security and ease of use over shared key, absolutely, and is recommended by Microsoft. Yep, understand that. So to require clients to use Azure AD to authorize requests, you can disallow requests to the storage account that are authorized with the shared key. So Microsoft are announcing the general availability of the ability to disable shared key authorization for Azure storage. So before you disable shared key authorization on existing storage accounts, we suggest checking existing access patterns via monitoring. Yeah, so absolutely. So yeah, I've used shared key access, and to be honest with you, it's a great little feature to use when you're doing some form of proof of concept or dev or test or something like that. But yeah, absolutely. Once you've created your shared key, you've got to manage that shared key, and you've got to store it somewhere where nobody's going to steal it and obviously compromise your storage account. And you probably best practice to have a life cycle around those storage keys, maybe refresh them once in a while. So it's all that overhead, and as has been written there, the ability to use Azure AD for your key authorization sort of kind of user principles is obviously recommended, because you've got that concept already baked in. So there we go. So that was the show for the week. Yeah, I'm pushing the 40 minutes mark. These are getting longer by the week, aren't they? But huge thanks if you stayed around and watched the end of this video. Thank you so much for your support again, everybody in the community that's been reaching out to me over the last week or so. It's truly humbling and overwhelming, and really is appreciated. But there we go. That was episode number 20. Thanks for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe to my channel. Click the little bell notification so you'll get notified if there's new content on there. Thank you all. I will see you all next week. Bye for now.